morning, everyone. Hello, good morning, everyone. Joining us this morning is Undersecretary Laura Del Rosario, the chair of the senior officials meeting.
Okay, thank you. I just want to know, do you want to start with the briefing or do you want to start with the questions? Because I briefed you, I think 2 days ago, giving you I briefed you 2 days ago, giving you a preview of what we would be discussing. Now, I just want to know, would you like to ask questions first and then I brief you later, using my pre-season briefing as a basis? Your wish is my command.
Ma'am, I think they would like to proceed with the questions already.
Okay.
May-
Give me the freedom not to reply. Okay ba? Okay.
may-
Okay, come on.
yes,
Yes.
ma'am, please.
Hello. Yeah, good morning, ma'am. I'm Jonah from Asahi Shimbun. You were supposed to give us a briefing last night, but it was canceled at the last minute because of some important meeting. We were wondering if it had anything to do with the Paris attacks, if any of the leaders have canceled their participation in the APEX Leader Summit this time. Thank you.
No. We were trying to schedule our own face-to-face drafting because when we draft our leader's statement and our joint minister's statement, we do a face-to-face drafting. That means it's almost like negotiating the language. And we couldn't do that until we have passed all the endorsed, what do you call that, all the documents that we wanted to endorse. So in effect, I was waiting for the endorsement approval of the multilateral trading system statement, a standalone statement. And of course, we were able to get the endorsement of the APEC Services Cooperation Framework, which I'm very happy about because that's a Philippine initiative. And then, of course, you're able to get endorsement and approval of another Philippine initiative, the APEC, because strengthening APEC qualified growth strategy. So that's the one. Now, the other reason was that I was supposed to host a dinner at 6:30, and I couldn't afford to be late for a dinner which I was supposed to be co-hosting. I mean, the delegates were there, and there were a lot of guests also from the private sector. Okay? I apologize. I know that you had to cancel some of your own interview appointments. That's why I decided to go straight to the question and answer just to make up for that big sin on my part. Okay?
Just on the second part of the question, were there any other leaders that canceled their attendance in the Leaders Summit because of what
No.
happened in Paris?
You know, sometimes I don't want people to read too much into why a leader cannot attend. Because, for instance, in the case of Russia, Russia is sending its Prime Minister Medvedev, who was the president of Russia in 2008 to 2012. So, in effect, that level is also something that I think deserves recognition that Russia is really, what do you call that, finds APEC very important. We always look at something happening in the domestic front. So I hope you take it as as a leader's priority that if there's something happening in the domestic front, they do want to pay attention to that, especially since this week is a very long week for them. There's a G20 meeting, there's the APEC meeting, there's the ASEAN Summit meeting. It's how many days is that? That's 7 or 8 days. And I know that there are some leaders who do not want to stay longer than 5 days away, from their country, especially since things are very fluid. In the case of Indonesia, Vice President Kala is known as one of the most ablest, executives and politicians of Indonesia, and we welcome really his participation. in APEC. And I know that he'll contribute a lot in the discussions of the issues before APEC.
Morning, Madam. China's Xinhua News Agency. I have two questions. One is that Chinese President Xi Jinping will pay a state visit here in Philippines, and what your comment on the boost for the bilateral relationship. The second question is that we noticed that the security measures have been tightened up here in Manila. And can you inform us more about the security measures? As we all know that Paris killings have claimed many lives recently. Thank you, Madam.
First, number one, I cannot talk about heightened security measures because I don't cover that issue. I cover substantive. Second, even if I did, I wouldn't describe them. Then they don't become security issues anymore because people will know what we have put in place. So as far as, from my position, security issues should really remain off radar, meaning we don't want people knowing what you are doing, right? But definitely, it came that there are heightened security measures, but please don't ask me that question. Second, the visit of President Xi Jinping will really, what do you call that? It's really a symbolic act in the sense that it will not just strengthen bilateral relations, but it will also show the rest of APEC the role and importance of APEC in the region, and that China is one of its active players in APEC. It will also send a message across the region that APEC, that all of us are working as a team and as a forum together to address our common economic security concerns.
Do we have any more questions from the floor? Okay. Yes, sir, please.
Cecil Morelia of AFP, ma'am. I understand that there was a report yesterday or this weekend about the status of compliance on the trade and environmental goods that you agreed on 2011 or 2012. Coming so close to the start of the Paris climate talks, is there an initiative to expand further in that now?
I think those 54 goods, right now we're working on the compliance. We agreed in 2011 during the U.S. host year that we will bring down the tariff on these goods to 5% so that people will continue to buy more environmental goods. That 54, hopefully, we hope that it can expand, but we are not yet talking about expansion until we review really all the compliance. I think for the Philippines, we're 100% compliant. To expand them will require another negotiation, but I don't know whether we would like that in APEC or whether we would want to introduce that in the WTO, because I know that the WTO is negotiating the environmental goods and services. And but we are also looking at the environmental services. Remember, we have this services cooperation framework. I don't know whether some economies will introduce the environmental services within that framework, which I'm happy to announce has been approved. So maybe after the ministerial meeting 2 days from now, you can get a copy of the framework.
As a follow-up, ma'am, Undersecretary Cristobal told me that 9 countries, including us, have so far complied with the target to lower tariffs on these products. But there are problems with some countries, and he mentioned Indonesia. Can you expand on that, ma'am?
As far as I know, only a couple of countries have some problems with just certain items. Like I know one economy in ASEAN has a problem with 1 or 2 only. I don't know about Indonesia. It could also be 2 or 3. but compared to what they have complied with, they're really good. For me, it's a very good initiative, and we're glad that all the economists are looking at that. And I think one time I was asked if when we do give some initiatives, whether we think of, you know, the repercussions to our stakeholders, and I said yes, we do. And in fact, we think of the economy as a whole. That's why we're looking at environmental goods, because we're looking at you know, the effects of climate change, the environment, and that. And whatever we do, especially when it comes to tariff, it has to pass through Congress, and Congress supported us on that.
And lastly, ma'am, could you describe to us the level of compliance insofar as these 54
For
goods
us, it's
are
an-
concerned on by China and the United States, who are the biggest polluters on this planet?
No, actually, the United States was the one that pushed the EGS 54 listing as an initiation to the negotiations on environmental goods and services. They were the ones that initiated it during their host year, because during their host year, their theme was green growth. So remember, President Obama is very environment oriented. So the U.S. is also a leading initiative on oceans concern, meaning the health of the oceans, the sustainability of the oceans. Okay.
China?
China, I think, has complied 100% on the EGS.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, please. Sorry, the gentleman. Go ahead.
Hello,
Go ahead,
good
sir.
morning, Madam Undersecretary. My name is Dario Agnod. I write for Kyodo News, Japanese news agency. What are the chances of TPP leaders meeting on the sidelines of the APEC summit? Do we have confirmation already whether it will happen within next week?
That's under the U.S. Leadership. I understand that, I know they met in Bali when they were still negotiating it. They also met in Beijing, in the U.S. Embassy in Beijing last year. So you can just, you know, extrapolate that they will really plan to meet again.
So if they decide to meet, where are they going to meet?
It will be a very small meeting. Remember, it's just the heads, so there are 12 of them, and maybe their trade ministers. It will be up to the U.S. Embassy to decide that.
So, but the Philippines, of course, will help in finding the place, the venue.
You know, they can always find a place in our hotels, assuming there are free venues right now. And always, as I said, in Manila, there are always possibilities. If they cannot find a place in one of our hotels, they can always meet at the U.S. Embassy,
Okay.
as they did in Beijing.
Thank you po.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Hello. Good morning, ma'am. Victoria Tulad of GMA7. I just wanted to know if there are other last-minute preparations that you are ironing out, especially for Tuesday and Wednesday.
No, I think we've been ready in terms of everything, the venues, even the specific rooms at the PICC where each event will happen. I think you know that aside from the APEC Leaders Retreat, there will be an informal conversation between the Pacific Alliance leaders and the APEC leaders. So we're preparing for that also. It's another venue within PICC. Now for the trade ministers, we're ready with the scenarios, with the agenda items. And the agenda items will follow, even at the leaders level, all the initiatives and all the issues that I've been briefing you about. You know, remember our 4 priorities this year: regional economic integration, sustainable and resilient communities, encouraging business, especially small ones, to be part of the global markets, and of course, human capital investment. Okay.
Do we have any more questions? Yes, ma'am, please approach the mic.
Good Good morning, ma'am. Xu Haijing from Xinhua News Agency of China. I'm sorry this question is again about the security, but I'm not going to ask you to tell about how you're going to beef up this security. I just want to confirm that there's a report that the Mindanao-based ISIS issued a warning it will launch an
Excuse me,
attack.
your voice is muffled. Please don't
Sorry.
speak too close to the phone.
Okay.
Mic rather.
Okay, so I've got a message saying that the Mindanao-based ISIS will issue the warning it will launch an attack during the APEC summit. Did you get any, can you confirm that you have got any?
What do you mean, ISIS will attack us during the APEC summit?
Yeah, some Mindanao in the southern Philippines, any related, ISIS-related organizations issue any warning concerning the security of the APEC summit?
I'm not the right person to reply to that because if ever, remember I said, any security, logistics-related issue is addressed by another body.
Yes, I understand that. I just want to confirm that
I have not
your
been,
government has, or
I
the
have not,
organizing
I have not
committee.
been informed about that.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Pangeran Punche from CNN Indonesia. On your opening remarks, you say that the government is left behind from the technologies, and there are so many issues that the government doesn't really know about.
All governments,
All
in
the
fact.
government, yes. What actually, are the issues that we're having now, and is there any regulation for
Under
it? Thank you.
technology.
Yeah.
Technology, of course, is something it's always ahead of everybody. Like for instance, when you now have your iPhones, when you look at how the iPhone has developed and how digital and internet economy, these are two separate economies, internet economy and the digital economy, how do you manage them, so to speak? That's why governments will have to figure out how they can encourage business and encourage development of business and innovation and creation, and at the same time making sure that others don't make use of them for negative activities. I think you know what I'm trying to say, right? For any invention that comes that is used to help people live better, work better, and also connect better, earn better, there are other forces that use the same things, to disrupt. So that's where government comes in.
Any more questions? Okay, if we don't have any more questions, we'd like to thank Undersecretary Del
Okay,
Rosario
thank you.
for taking the time to be with us this morning, and to everyone for your participation.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
So that means I don't have to brief you anymore, right? Okay,
No.
thanks.